Day 23, and we're at the final stretch. What you're going to be doing today and tomorrow is learning how to apply consciousness to healing another human being. This is one of the highlights of the Silva program. Here's what's going to happen. Today, I'm going to share with you a remarkable scientific study by Dr. William Broad, a contemporary of Jose Silva. They were close friends, and William Broad proved that even an untrained mind could influence the body of someone else by simply sending them positive thoughts. More on that in a moment. I'm then going to give you an idea of the exercise that we will be doing tomorrow, where you will learn, as a trained mind, how to project your awareness to another human being. Today is about preparation. Tomorrow is when you're going to set aside 35 minutes of quiet time to go deep and learn how to project your awareness to another human being. Now, you won't just be observing this other human being for psychic information. You will learn the tools of psychic healing. So it's going to be a really remarkable next 2 days. Now, let's start with that famous study by William Broad. We all know that we can heal our own body. It's the basis for the placebo effect. But what is the science that says that your awareness can influence my body and vice versa? Turns out it's plenty. William Broad was a scientist. He's now passed away, but he was a friend of Jose Silva's, and he lived in San Antonio and worked at the San Antonio Mind Science Institute. Now, Broad was famous for a remarkable study, and it was a massive study. It involved 37 experiments studying 7 different physiological responses, such as blood pressure or muscle tremor. It involved 665 sessions, 449 people, 13 experimenters. And the study was essentially this. They would take 2 people, one would be a sender, one would be a receiver. The receiver would be in a room hooked up to these machines, measuring different aspects of their body. The sender would be in another room. Now, at specific moments in time, the sender would be told to send positive thoughts and to think of the receiver. Surprisingly, at those exact moments in time, these 7 machines that were hooked up to the receivers, they started showing changes in the receiver's body. Their brainwave states might change, their heart rate might change, their galvanic skin resistance might change. It was truly remarkable, and it happened at precisely the time the sender was thinking about the receiver. Now, the curious thing is these senders were not trained meditators, they were not trained healers. So imagine what a trained healer can do. Now, the question is, how powerful would distance healing actually be? Is it a tiny, tiny, tiny impact on another human being, or is it an impact that actually makes a massive difference? Turns out it's a massive difference. And to understand this, you got to understand the concept called effect size. When a new drug is being released, doctors and scientists have to measure the effect size of the drug. Effect sizes of drugs are measured on a scale of 0 to 1. A drug with an effect size of 0.03 means that in a medical emergency, if 100 people, say, have a particular illness, a drug with an effect size of 0.03 would allow 3 out of 100 people to recover. A drug with an effect size of 0.3 would allow 30 out of 100 people to recover. Turned out for distance healing, the effect size is 0.25. Turns out that if there is an illness, and the effect size of a common medical drug to healing that illness is 0.2, meaning 20 out of 100 people would recover, distance healing has an effect size of 0.25. Apply that along with the medical drug, and the healing rate goes up from 20 out of 100 people to 45 out of 100 people. This is why distance healing can be so effective. You can learn more by searching for William Broad and downloading some of the scientific papers if you want to go further. As for now, I'm going to train you on what we're going to do tomorrow. So, you're going to pick a person that you want to apply distance healing to. And it could be a loved one, it could be a colleague, ideally a person that means something to you, someone you care about. It doesn't have to necessarily be someone who is ill, because what we're going to do tomorrow is not attempt to magnificently heal someone, but simply practice with sending your awareness into someone else's anatomy so you can study them with the goal of receiving information that you can use to help them. You cannot perceive or receive information that they may not want you to know, or perceive or receive information that you would use for anything less than the betterment of humanity. You're going to start by seeing that person's face on your mental screen. Study the entire impression of their face, paying close attention to their eyes, their nose, their mouth. You're then going to imagine as if you can see their skull, and you're going to observe their skull level. From the bone structure level, I'll ask you to observe their heart. When I snap my fingers, you will zoom into the heart, and you might imagine the heart to be transparent so you can observe what is going on in the heart. In psychic diagnosis, if you want to test out things such as thickening of arteries, you could imagine as if you are holding one of their arteries and you're bending it. Mentally ask yourself if it feels normal or if it feels hard. And if the sensation you get is that it feels hard, it could mean that this person is showing signs of heart disease. You could also test for blood pressure. Again, hold an artery and mentally ask yourself, is the blood pressure low, normal, or high? The first impulse that comes to you is often the most accurate one. You can also test for blood constituency. Imagine as if you have an imaginary test tube and you dip that test tube in the blood. Now, with that test tube filled with blood, ask yourself what you want to study. Is it white blood cell count? Is it cholesterol? Imagine as if you can shake that test tube and it separates into two levels. Maybe red for regular blood, a yellow level for cholesterol. Mentally ask yourself, does this signify high, low, or normal? The first answer that comes to you is usually the correct one. Then I'm going to snap my fingers and you're going to observe their lungs. If that person is a smoker, their lungs, rather than appearing pink, might appear gray or dark. You're then going to observe the stomach. Imagine as if you can zoom into that person's stomach. What do you see? Injuries, indigestion, any type of stomach problem will be strikingly apparent to you. Jose Silva said that the human body desires to be healed. So when you're observing the other person with the intention to give them healing, any abnormality will immediately pop out to you. From the stomach, you're going to observe the duodenum, the intestines, the liver, and the kidneys. Then you're going to zoom out and see the person from their outer exterior. You will end with sending them light, energy, blessings, and healings. And that's what you're going to be doing tomorrow. You will also learn some advanced tools. For example, the time mechanism. If you're observing someone's skeletal structure and you see, say, a break or a fracture, you could ask yourself, when did that break occur? Imagine as if your left hand is a clock and that you can turn time backwards. Imagine as if you can turn time backwards where one revolution is 1 year or 10 years or 1 hour. So you might go back 10 years first and see, is that hairline fracture still there? It's not? Great. Why don't you go forward 5 years? Is it there? Great. Go back a year. Go back a year. You found that it now occurred in 2012. Let's try to figure out the month. Imagine each revolution is 1 month. Go forward or backwards. You get the idea. That is how detailed a truly remarkable psychic can be, pinpointing it all the way down to the exact month. Now, of course, when you see something like that, you want to use symbolic tools of healing to apply healing. In the case of a fracture, you might pretend as if you have a magical glue that you can apply on that hairline fracture and then bless with the light of your hands to cause that fracture to heal. Now, everything you learn here, you can apply on your own body. What Silva found is that sometimes it's remarkably easy to apply this to another person because our consciousness wants us to heal. So keep an open mind, pick the person for tomorrow, and I'll see you then. For today, continue any Silva practice you want. Maybe apply the 3 scenes technique for a healing session on yourself, or a mental video before you go to bed, or go into a centering exercise so you can fully rejuvenate yourself and feel completely refreshed and healthy and ready for tomorrow. I'll see you then.